Maranatha. We are glad that you are with us this morning. There is more good to come. That is today's sermon. Just this morning, you may not know this, but our worship team that is up here every Sunday, they are doing their best that they can to lead you in worship. This morning, they had a couple of hiccups that happened, and they fought through it. And they led us in worship, and we had a lot going on with our sound. We didn't really have that much sound, but can we give them a round of applause? We want to give a shout out to Doy for all of his hard work in that area and getting everything set up and the way it's working. For them, there truly is more good to come. Hopefully the service will go fine. We appreciate each one of you that are here today. That is the title of the sermon, More Good to Come. More good to come. Do you believe that there is more good to come? Do you believe that? Do you believe that in regards to your life? Do you believe that in regards to your family? Do you believe that in regards to your job? Do you believe that in regards to Maranatha? I hope that you do. I hope that you see that just as that video was talking about, that you just don't hold on to the good things in life, but you take it and that you drink it in, and that you believe that there is more good to come. I truly believe that. Life is just a vapor, as the Bible talks about. It is just extremely quick that it happens. And we can be afraid that these good times are going to be very short and that something tough is going to happen. I remember I used to work at a group home. I worked at a couple of them in the times of my life. And one of the things that they would do is posture. And what that is your posturing is when somebody comes up to you. Maybe you saw that, and maybe in middle school you saw it all the time, where somebody come up to you and they kind of come at you, and you didn't know if they were going to punch you or what they were going to do, but they'd come at you and kind of like that. And you didn't know, like, are they trying to intimidate me? Are they going to punch me? Or if you've seen someone, maybe you've watched Cops or you've watched On Patrol Live, and you can see one of those people, and they just kind of stand back, they start to clench their fists, and they're getting ready. What are they getting ready for? They're getting ready for the bad thing to happen, right? They are getting ready for something to hit them, like maybe it's happened quite a bit in their life. Maybe they have had hard times. I know with the group homeboys that a lot of times they would go to jail. They would go to kid jail for whatever they did. And before they could go home, for their parents' safety, they would go to that group home. And that group home, it was almost like a second juvenile hall. It was almost like another prison because there was a bunch of other boys in there who were all kind of fighting. And so they would always be prepared. In your life, are you like that? Are you always posturing? Are you always getting ready for the next hit in your life? I think our life is so short, it is hard to realize that the time is going by so quickly. And we can spend a lot of time there just holding back and waiting for the next hit. But our life continues to move forward. As we have our teenage years, we move on into our college years, our young adult years, and then before we know it, our young married time, and we're kind of always expecting what's going to come around the corner next. And then our adult years, then our midlife years, then maybe you're a parent of teens, then you're an empty nester, maybe now you're a senior, you have grandparents. Are you drinking it in? Are you enjoying that life that God has given you? Or are you just always ready for what could come around the bend? What could happen next? We can't stop time from moving forward. As Ephesians 5 said, as we saw it last week, in Ephesians 5, verse 15, it said this. As we look at it, it says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." As I was talking about last week, time is very, very short. Maybe when you're a kid and you're sitting in class, it seems like time lasts forever. Maybe you sat there and you played, I know as I was a kid, I could play video games for hours, and you could waste time because you had so much of it. But the older I get, I don't want to do things because that's a waste of time. You realize that you can't redeem all the time that you have, so you don't want to waste it. We want to be very careful with what we have. As parents, as aunts and uncles, as future parents, time is fleeting. And if you see this, I don't know if we have it up there. Yes, that 18 years is 216 months. If you're a young parent thinking about that, when you have a baby, 18 years is 939 weeks. 18 years is 6,574 days and 157 hours, 157,000 hours is how much time it is in 18 years. And you think, man, I've got so much time with them. I can focus on my career. I can get my body in shape. I can get that extra vehicle. We can spend time doing this or that. Or it's okay, I can spend a couple extra weeks away from my family. Until I realized my daughter's twins turned 13, I realized that before college, I've got 5 years left with them. And you kind of see it almost in reverse, that yeah, I've got 43,000 hours with them. That's only 1,800 days. That's 260 weeks. That's only 60 months. That's less than some of you are paying on a new car payment. It is pretty quick of how fast that time really does go by. Our time is fleeting that we have, especially with our kids, or maybe your nieces or your nephews or your grandchildren. That time is fleeting. They are super busy now, busier than maybe you were growing up, busier than I was growing up. What do we give their time to, our children's time to? We give it to school because school is important, but then we put them into sports, and they're in all kinds of different sports. Then we have church, they're in church, well that's important. And then we have video games, well that's so that mom and dad can get some time. And then they're on their phone, then they're at Starbucks, and then they're at Dunkin'. Okay, they're giving time to these other things. How much are we letting, that doesn't even include friends, how much are we letting others influence their life before we redeem that time ourselves? The good is to come. Realize you, fill that in, you are the good to come in their life. You are the good to come. And I wanted to share this one with you. I saw this one this week. Is that someone has prayed for you to exist because you are the good to come. The next one we have here is that we've been talking about this idea of Mosaic, of realizing, who am I? And I hope that you're getting an idea on who you are. Asking, is my identity in Christ? Do I have a relationship with Him? Where do I fit? And our idea of this idea of Mosaic, as we've talked about, is that we are all broken pieces. And that God is putting us together to make that masterpiece that we call the church. And we are going to be looking in it in the last chapter of Ephesians. We're going to be looking at it today in Ephesians chapter 6. So take your Bible, open up to Ephesians chapter 6 in verse 1. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1 is where we'll be at today. So you know we'll be in Ephesians chapter 6 for 2 weeks. I think this is an important chapter, so we're going to spend a little bit of extra time looking at that. Ephesians chapter 6 in verse 1 says this. And maybe this is your favorite verse as a parent, and you want to put it on a poster at home. Maybe you already know what these are. Or as a kid, you hate these verses. It's all right. You only have 60 more months, and then you're out of the house, right? What does it say? Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Oh, my parents had that one memorized. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. They had that one memorized too. That it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on this earth. As a child, we are called to obey our parents. God has put them in charge of us, and He has gifted us to them, and we are to follow what they have for us. We are to obey them. But parents, one of the things that I don't want you to miss, a lot of today what we're going to be talking about, and if you are a student in here, you're going to love this sermon, because we're talking to your parents a lot in this, and you probably want to write down notes and be like, remember what Pastor Adam said? So you'll have this on your resume, that you can remember this. We're going to be talking to you parents. Don't let that time slip away. We're talking about 60 months is 5 years. Don't let that time slip away with your children. Yes, we are called to be parents. We are called to teach them, to help them obey. If you do not have children, you are there to be a mentor. You're there to be an aunt, to be an uncle, to be a grandparent. You are also there to influence. Whether you're a Sunday school teacher, a VBS helper, we're all involved in the lives of these students. To teach them to obey and to prepare them for life. To teach them how to be successful mentally, physically, and especially in the church, spiritually. I hope we are preparing them for that. We want to equip them, and we want to lead by example. But please, parents, don't forget what God has given you. He has gifted these amazing children to you. They are yours for a short time before they leave home. They are His. They are gifted to us for a short period of time. We don't want to get lost in the focus of structure and form. We want to form their life and help them as we move forward. But Jesus wants us to love Him and to love His family, the family that we have been given. He wants your kids to obey. That's why these verses are in there. That's why they're in the 10 Commandments. But a lot of times we get lost as parents. And a lot of times, especially in our life today, whether you're in your mid-20s or you're up to your 50s, that we get lost in this world today. You're like, what are you talking about? I have GPS. I'm good to go. I never get lost. Well, we'll talk to your spouse. But yes, we do get lost. How do we get lost in this world? One of the biggest things that we have now is social media. That we get into it, we get into Facebook, we get into Instagram, and when it's all about how we look, how our body looks, what toys we have, the people that we're hanging out with, what job we have, that we go, you know what, my kids can wait, I can work a couple extra nights so that I can climb the corporate ladder, or maybe so that I can get that boat, or I can get my side hustle off the ground, and we can get into whatever these things may be. Or, man, I've always dreamed about having this body, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to work on this, and I love my CrossFit community, but spending way too much time there, whatever your place may be that you hang out at, and we begin to get lost in the world that we've created instead of spending that much time on our